Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts. Today we got some new cardboards revealed. This time we're looking at 3 brand new Vendread support cards. I honestly have not been expecting this. I mean, we have seen a fair amount of zombie support as of late. We have the new Synchro stuff coming in Dimension Force. We have that weird zombie fusion, weird OCG thing going on. We don't know when we'll get those. And like honestly, the new structure deck, Fallen of Albaz, has just like essentially a Foolish Burial fusion card in that also gets you a boss monster, so really good synergy there. But yeah, Vendreads, I don't have a ton of experience with this archetype, but I know a lot of people like them. You know, a lot of people like zombies in general, so no surprise that a zombie ritual deck has become like a low-key fan favorite. But yeah, let's just get into these new cards here. Of course, we start off with this guy here, Scarvenger. He's a Level 6 zombie dark monster, 2300 attack, 0 defense. Both effects of his are hard once per turns each. If this card is sent to the graveyard, period, you can add 1 Vendread spell or trap from your deck to your hand. That's pretty sweet. I know for a fact, like, you're already looking at stuff like Foolish Burial. You're already looking at a couple of other cards, just generic cards, like discard a card to, like, do something. I also believe that, I think Vendreads in their own archetype have a card that says, like, send a Vendread monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to summon another Vendread from deck. So like you can send him, summon from deck, and then use him to get another spell or trap. It's pretty sweet. Definitely. That's pretty cool. And then also obviously if he's tribute summoned, or not tribute summoned, tributed for a ritual summon, he'll also trigger to get you more value. I know some of their traps are actually pretty powerful, but yeah. Alright, second effect. If a monster or monsters on the field is tributed while this card is in your grave, you can banish one other zombie monster from your grave, special summon this card. And if you do, you cannot special summon monsters while you control this card, except Vendreads. Very cool. Honestly, it's a trigger effect, so it's not quite as good as some of the other ones. I know some of the other Vendreads in grave just literally say, like, banish a zombie, summon it back from grave. Just ignition effect. But honestly, because this guy's a higher level, because he's already getting a search when he's sent to grave, I think this is a little more fair. And of course, locking you into Vendreads, the whole idea probably is just to get him on field so that you can use him for another ritual summon and just kind of, you know, stack the board with a bunch of big Vendread rituals. Pretty cool. I think this is a pretty good card. Definitely still kind of a brick, but if you see him with any card that really gets him in grave, whether you see him or he's in the deck, you can still make good use of him. So definitely a solid card for the archetype. Next up here, we move to a new ritual monster. This is Vendread Scarvenger. Very cool. He's got this gross, nasty tentacle arm, but that's nothing new for Vendreads. He's a level 8 dark zombie ritual effect monster, 2800 attack, 0 defense. Okay, decent stats. Well, at least attack. You can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell. You can only use the first and second of this card's name once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute a zombie monster. This card gains attack equal to the tributed monster's original attack until the end of this turn. Okay, I mean, it does say tribute 1 zombie monster, so technically if your opponent, if you had Zombie World on the field, I don't know if that's like a legitimately desired build in for Vendreads, is to actually play it with like the zombie horde stuff. But if it is, you could tribute an opponent's monster to gain that monster's attack. Then that becomes a lot more powerful, but without something like that, it's not quite as good. It's obviously just like a battle trick that doesn't even work in the battle phase. It works only in main phase, which can be worked around. So interesting, but not amazing. Second effect, if you control Vendread Slayer and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it, but banish when it leaves the field. Interesting. I'm assuming since he's a ritual, he can't just use that. He has to already be correctly ritual summoned, then go to grave, and then be able to use that effect. I believe that's how rituals work generally. But that's pretty good. I mean, I believe Slayer is one of your like central parts of the deck, so like you're probably trying to get to Slayer anyway. That means like you could use him as the material to ritual summon Slayer and then immediately use him to come back from grave as well. Not a bad card. That second effect definitely makes him solid, more solid value in the fact that like he pays for an entire other ritual summon and then just comes back for free anyway is pretty sweet. So we'll definitely take that. Just not too sure that first effect is really as good as we'd want it to be. But whatevs. We'll take it for now. Well, I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know the rest of the archetype so perfectly well that that I understand like the full context of this card. But it seems decent. And the last card we have here is Ravenous Vendread, another ritual spell card. They already have 2, I think. This card, and I think they have a trap that can quick ritual on the opponent's turn. This card can be used to ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster. You can only activate this card once per turn. Special summon 1 Vendread monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in face-down defense position, except for Vendread Scarvenger. So anything but this guy. Okay. Weird that he's the only one. Then ritual summon 1 Vendread ritual monster from your hand or graveyard by tributing monsters whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon, including the summoned monster. So you do need to tribute the summoned monster as part of that payment, but this is pretty solid. I mean, I think they have 1 or 2 rituals that are level 6 or lower. So theoretically, if you just already had them either in hand or engraved, you could go activate this card, set this guy, and this ritual spell makes this guy way better. Set him immediately, and then it says you can, I think. No, it actually isn't you can. You have to ritual summon from that point. So as long as you had like any other tributable card, but it does turbo this guy out, then immediately get him sent to grave. He's going to get you value in the form of a spell and trap, and potentially the ability to come back from grave if you're able to ritual summon again after that, and just get pretty good value, honestly. Okay, this card's pretty good. I mean, it's the whole problem with rituals. I actually made a somewhat recent video on this, is that ideally for rituals, like the way the mechanic was designed was you needed a ritual spell, at least 1 monster to tribute, and one ritual monster, usually in hand, to ritual summon. But this bypasses that a lot, right? You're summoning a monster from deck, so that cuts out that resource. You are still using the spell from hand, and theoretically, if you already had a summonable ritual target in grave, you're not even using anything else from hand. So, given the right setup, this card is a 1-card ritual summon, and given the fact that we now have like this guy in the archetype, he's getting you a search as well. So this could almost be like essentially a 0-card ritual summon from that point, depending on what you need to go for. But very, very cool. Honestly, I think the support's pretty decent. I think Vendreads are interesting. They just feel weird, like a ritual archetype that's also makes uses of trap cards. Feels a little wonky. I just don't know if the consistency is all the way there. You know, you look at Drytron and you're like, oh, but Drytron can help. But can it? This archetype likes to ritual summon based on levels, and all the Drytrons are level 1. So they're not really helping you as far as getting to like legit ritual summons there. They get you pluses, but they're not really the greatest, fodder to help you make use of the ritual summon. So I don't exactly know where they go from there. But all in all, I can't complain. I think all 3 cards might have some validity to it. I think if anything, this one's the most sus to me. But the monster and the spell absolutely seem like they're really good additions to a zombie ritual archetype. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say here. Like I said before, though, I am no savant of this deck. I do not know the ins and outs of Vendread, so let me know if there's any other really interesting notes to add here that make some of these cards a little better, especially the ritual guy. I think the other 2 kind of speak for themselves a little bit, but feel free to let me know any other specific synergies with them. But particularly this guy, is there anything that I missed that like makes him seem better than he is just in a vacuum as a one-off card? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that down below. But I'm going to get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching. We still got about 35-ish cards to be revealed for this archetype in the next 11 days, I think. Which means probably like the next 8 days we'll probably get all 35 of those. So definitely stay tuned for that. Very excited to see where we round out this archetype, or this new set that I think is insane. And now that I've tested splites, I think splites are tier 1. I think they're a tier 1 archetype. And I don't think it's close. They're just like a combo deck that sets up multiple negations and interruptions, and it like does not care about nib. The mid-range hand traps don't do a ton, but we can talk about that at a later date. But yeah, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.